Hi. I just got out of class about 20, no, actually, it's been longer now. It's been an hour ago. It feels like 20 minutes ago. Probably because it was basketball class, and I'm not very sports oriented. I'm a science major, and I just don't do the whole physical activity thing too often. But I need to, and I'm gonna try to start, taking care of myself a little more. Um, I'm not gonna overdo it or get like a fanatic about it or count calories and things like that. But just uh, playing basketball like I have for class here and there, and possibly dieting a little better, maybe. Although I'm weak because food is just so delicious. Um, but I'll try to take care of myself. Um, lately, and by lately I mean past 2 days ish, maybe three. Um, I've been trying to pray on a pretty regular basis, um, and the Lord has proven Himself faithful. Um, and He's answered a few prayers already, like almost immediately, which that was just shocked. I mean, I knew He was going to answer them at some time, but I wasn't expecting the reply to be so fast. Um, but I guess the main reason of this rant about prayer is because in the past I've attempted to get my act together as a whole to clean my life, and I've noticed that usually it'll work out for a month or a month and a half sometimes. Even it's worked out for 2 months sometimes. And I'm constant about praying and constant about these, but it becomes more like a chore and a burden, and I start being like pulled in one direction here and there, and one day I might be like, oh well, I'm gonna be late for class, so I'm not gonna pray, or I have all these things to do, so I'm not gonna read my Bible, um, things like that. And I was um I was watching a YouTube video last night of a guy giving his testimony that he had a certain addiction. It's not really important which addiction it was. It's just an addiction. As most of us have an addiction to some sort of sin, whichever may be. Some people it's drugs. Some people is drinking. Some people is music. Believe it or not. Another it might be desiring to be the best, pride. To others, even pornography and things that that just vary from person to person. Um, but I feel like he said something very clear, very thorough, or very on point. That's what I mean to say. That really we can't overcome anything. There's no way that we can, as human beings, even overcome today, right now, to the end of the day, by staying pure or sincere. Um, if we don't view Christ as supreme over everything, but with a desire. Because a lot of us, at least I did for a long time, I've always viewed Christ and God, and by always I mean in my Christian life, um, as supreme over everything. But that doesn't mean I desire or desired Him or completely desire Him as I should. Um, but I'm very influenced by a lot of passages where people like Moses tell God when he goes up to the mount to write the Ten Commandments. Moses, having been so close to God, makes a very bold statement, and I learned this through Pastor John Piper's one of his preachings. But he makes a very bold statement where he says, "Lord, show me your glory, like show me yourself." Like I've been coming up this mountain, I've talked to you, I've seen you, like not literally seen you, but I've experienced you up close. it's no longer enough. Like I'm curious. Like I want to see you. Like I desire to see you. And I mean, he jumped the barrier. He he said, this is not enough. I want more. And I think that's the perfect example of wanting God and His glory. And I think that God finds it pleasing to be desired because He's worthy of being desired. So my prayer for the next, as long as God puts it in my heart, and hopefully for the rest of my life, is to for God to put a need for me to desire Him, because I feel like that's the only way that my life is truly going to be established in Him, is by Him showing Himself to me, by His glory being so magnificent, so impacting, that it just changes everything, that it destroys the sin of my life, that it breaks down the walls that may be stopping me from communing with Him. Um, I think that one of the most important things as a Christian, especially when one is young, is to come to the realization and acknowledgement that our Christian life and our walking with Him is not really our walking with Him. It is our, we're handicapped. It is Him being kind enough to grab each one of our legs and put a step forward, and then grab the other one and put it forward. So that what we say is walking with Him, we really mean to say is Him walking us, like He's walking with us and being gracious enough to move each one of our limbs towards Him. Because by ourselves, we really can't. We really just can't. There's no way that someone like me or anyone else could desire Him on their own. It's impossible. There's no way that you could consistently desire Him. There's no way that you consistently want to read your Bible. You couldn't consistently want to pray. You couldn't consistently want to do good things. You couldn't consistently want to glorify Him. It's an impossibility. So I've come to terms with that, and I I now tell Him every morning that I wake up, I can't do this. I can't give you the glory you deserve, so take it from my life. Make yourself glorious in my life. Take the throne of my heart. Break down. And if my education is in the way, and yes, it hurts my heart as a human being, as being made of flesh and having earthly goals. But if my education is in the way of Him and me, and it's going to cause me harm, then take it. Take it, because I know at the end of the day, the Word says that all the things that happen to us, to those who love Him, who were predestined and chosen by Him, are for our own good. So every single time I've gone through suffering, through recovering from sin, from having fallen into temptation and then getting up, there's always a lesson behind everything. Every single time, there's not been a single time where I haven't experienced a hardship, suffering, temptation, defeat, where I haven't gotten up with a new realization and a new mercy that God has shown me about Himself. And it's always very refreshing. It's always very calming and soothing. And so I believe that whatever He wants to do with my life, whether He takes my education, whether He takes it further or He takes it away, whether I live a comfortable life or a very a life full of needs, I trust that whatever His choices are, at the end of the day, whether I suffer or not, He's gonna have a mercy, a purpose behind it that will, in the long run, strengthen my soul towards a more faithful state towards Him. So that's just my reflection of the day, and I'll see you next time.